This is a machine that has a mind of her own. Talk to her, listen to her, find your common ground. You'll get one of the best driving experiences of your life. Out there. Very well. This is how you make history. Expected at the racetrack. But first, let's get there with panache. Another special car is waiting for you. Two of the 20th century's most popular Ferraris. But when it comes to beloved machines from the 80s and 90s, there's another red horse that undoubtedly comes to mind. The unmistakable pop culture icon, the Ferrari Testarossa.
When you ask people which is one of the most iconic cars that people remember, I think the Testarossa is definitely among these cars here.
Testarossa was quite the celebrity in her time. Movies, TV shows, magazines, and even video games, the Testarossa was everywhere, appealing to kids and adults alike. With its angular design, minimalistic lines, and signature side air intakes, this car was a poster child for aerodynamics. To be precise, the exact model Motorfest has put in your hands is the 1991 re-engineered version of the Testarossa, introduced as the 512 TR, featuring a redesigned interior and a refined exterior to improve its already spectacular lines. Looks like you're getting the perfect stretches of road between Maui and Oahu to take the whole measure of it. Breath of fresh air and nostalgia. You're here. It's time for you to get a real taste of Ferrari's racing DNA. The drive that gave birth to the supercar bloodline. And for this racing-themed experience, I went again through my archives to select not just one, but two vehicles for you to drive, one after the other. Two machines from two different eras, for two different racing experiences.
Scuderia Ferrari in our history is extremely important. Scuderia Ferrari was created in 1929, not far away from here. And so Ferrari,
the Scuderia is what started it all. To understand what fuels the creation of every Ferrari ever made, especially the supercars, the racetrack is an indispensable stop. Racing cars were Enzo Ferrari's passion and obsession. This is what led him to found a Scuderia in 1929, which has played a major role in racing history. And born from this racing division, Ferrari as a brand and factory of excellence was created a few years later. Ferrari to create cars, and eventually supercars. Without his racing spirit and passion, there would be no Ferraris as we know them. Ferrari 365 GTB4 is the perfect vehicle for you to experience Ferrari racing as it felt back in the 70s, before switching for a car about 45 years its junior. For this second lap, you'll be driving the FXXK. This car is quite peculiar. Essentially a laboratory-enhanced version of La Ferrari. A supercar you'll get to meet later on. It didn't compete per se, but this insanely powerful car was used for years as an R&D test car, allowing Ferrari to collect precious data to ultimately improve their next official racing cars, as well as the supercars. So extreme that it can never be driven on the road, nor qualify for any kind of official competition. But it's still a racing machine through and through. More than a car, the FXXK is an experiment for its makers and an experience for its drivers. racetrack heritage, a heritage in which supercars are inextricably tied up. Marvelous race driver. A moment I'll be thrilled to relate and store in my archives. Let's get our focus back to our supercar lineup. With the GTO, the F40, and the F50, we've covered all the Ferrari supercars born in the 20th century. We'll now get to talk about and drive the more recent 21st century supercars. Well, I'll talk, you'll drive. Let's get back to Maui. Entry in our lineup and first supercar of the 2000s is a direct tribute to the Commendatore Enzo Ferrari. You guessed it. We're letting you get your hands on the 2002 Ferrari Enzo. And again, starting with a few words from our guest, Michele Pignati Marano.
What was the next name? The name was Enzo. Enzo Ferrari. I mean, it's the top of the names. You couldn't do anything better than that.
Fourth in the supercar bloodline, was just like her sisters before her, born from a strong desire to push supercars even further. As the first Ferrari of the century, and with a Scuderia on top of the racing world, the Enzo was meant to strike hard and set new standards for Ferrari cars, or rather, for the whole sports car industry. With the will to design, once more, nothing less than a road-legal Formula One, faster on the track but more civilized on the road, Ferrari went all out. And my word, did they deliver. Design by Pininfarina, featuring noticeable air intakes and an F1-inspired nose, gives this car her aggressive, decisive, and impressive looks, while the engine is nothing short of engineering mastery, as you'd expect. Add to that better handling, better carbon brakes, and electronics that make the car as reliable on an everyday drive as it is savage on the racetrack. Latest 21st century tech alongside the legendary Ferrari Fury. Nothing short of a new performance benchmark. The name alone shows how confident Ferrari was about this car. Owning one of the 399 plus one Ferrari Enzos in existence is like owning a piece of car history. Or, dare I say, like owning a piece of art. exclusivity. This is Enzo Ferrari's legacy. After the beautiful tribute that was the Ferrari Enzo, the world had to wait more than 10 years to encounter a new Ferrari supercar. But eventually, the next generation arrived, and once again, caught everybody off guard. I'm talking about a car named La Ferrari, the Ferrari in English, which is currently waiting for you north of Maui. I'll let you drive there. Then we'll talk some more.
LaFerrari is the first Ferrari we have with an hybrid engine. If
It's 2013, and a new supercar emerges from the Maranello factory.
Let's call this a do-over. We'll get it this time.
Of astonishingly intense competition, Ferrari still treated their rivals to a true tour de force, a car that reshuffled the cards yet again. Strongest naturally aspirated Ferrari V12 to date, marking Ferrari's first steps into hybrid technology. For the first time in the company's history, petrol and electric working together full-time to deliver unprecedented levels of performance. And on top of all that, LaFerrari sports an F1 kinetic energy recovery system that constantly recaptures waste energy, stores it, and converts it into bursts of power when needed. To witness technology peak improvements at both ends of the spectrum. Higher performance, lower consumption. Glorious achievement. Civilized, but also the fastest and most exhilarating road car ever made by the prancing horse, LaFerrari. This was La Ferrari, the fifth and ultimate Ferrari supercar. Or is she? See, not so long ago, we would have called it a day on this playlist, right about here. After all, La Ferrari was the last supercar ever made, the final word in Ferrari supercars. But that's not true anymore. Ferrari shook the automotive world once again by revealing the sixth supercar to bear the prancing horse. The news of Ferrari unveiling a new supercar was already more than enough to get any car enthusiast in the world on their feet. But the reveal of her name is what made everyone lose their mind. The Ferrari F80. Exciting time to be alive, isn't it? You should head back to the Ferrari Museum. And believe me when I tell you that something brilliant is about to be set in motion.
What makes Ferrari so unique? It is mainly the people. The people make the difference. And as Enzo Ferrari used to say, factories are made of wall, machinery, and people. Ferrari is made of people mainly.
Is a legendary sports car brand, born from the passion of a man. A passion for driving and racing, a passion for speed and competition, with the will to build cars, each one better than the last. Throughout the decades, this racing DNA never faded away. Informs every single decision made by the prancing horse. It fuels the relentless drive to explore car technology, to push it beyond and make it evolve, to the most incredible cars in the world. Jewels of the road, champions of the racetrack. Ferrari. It is cars that have become pop culture icons. Cars that share a special bond with millions of people. Whether you own a Ferrari or not, the name Ferrari rings like no other. It impacts and fascinates children and grown-ups alike. It is part of a collective consciousness. Ferrari cars are a vector for dreams. They're modern legends, both real and mythical, in a way. They're an idea of what a sports car is, in both fiction and reality. This is, putting it mildly, the epitome of luxury cars. With design that combines rage and glamour, each Ferrari is a piece of art. And from the higher end of the splendor spectrum, each drive is a statement. Of the racing spirit, pop culture phenomenon, state-of-the-art ambassador. The combination of all these attributes made Ferrari a car brand that reached millions of people and brought them together. People that have, over the decades, formed a community like no other. Devout, passionate, dedicated. Because once again, no need to own a Ferrari to be part of the Ferrari world. Through almost 80 years, Ferrari has shaped car history. And as I speak, it is shaping its future. A new chapter of the Ferrari supercar story is being written. Its title, F80.
it's a challenge to keep the legacy of the Ferrari brand.
This was our exclusive Ferrari experience. Now, time to get your reward. A new playlist means new adventures, driver. Back to where we left off. Requested and beat the time already set by the Ace, the Joker and the Queen. Those specialist drivers Betty was telling you about. Before you do. She's Team Daredevil's stat specialist. For the car, Red Bull lends you one that belongs to Force Rally Heritage, a legacy that includes the McRae's Focus in 1999, Hibonen's Fiesta in 2011, and so the car of the day, the 2017 Ford Fiesta WRC Double World Champion 2017-18 with Sébastien Ogier. To perform. Drifting, target hitting, jumping on barns, wall riding. Perform them all and do it as fast as possible.
Keep your eyes peeled. She's not bad at this game. It's on. Show the crowd that you can beat the Queen in her own speciality. The rule is simple. Perform all the actions requested as quickly as possible. Targets or farm roof ahead. Your choice. Ride on some more farm roofs and you're in business. scared. Smash all the targets you can. That was really cool. quickly as possible. Targets or barn roof ahead. Your choice. That was really cool. Here we go again. Smash all the targets you can. plays their game.
Not only did you get the whole thing out of the way, but you also beat the time of a specialist. That deserves a little beach break and a swim. Next event is between Oahu and Maui, a boat outrun between the Kaiwi Islet. Red Bull has even taken the liberty of building giant fans to propel you when you make jumps. It's untested technology. Sounds like it could be fun. Drive as fast as you can to beat the timer. Each door saves you time. If your timer reaches 0, the event stops and you'll have to start again. Good luck.
Adventure. Red Bull's strong connection to action on the water is nothing new. They are heavily involved in high-speed sailboat racing. It's like an Alpha GP race, but on the sea. They even race thunderboats at 200 miles an hour. That's pretty much what you're doing right now. A powerboat race where you have to fight against time.
Not only did you get the whole thing out of the way, but you also beat the time of a specialist. That deserves a little beach break and a swim. Next event is between Oahu and Maui, and boat outrun between the Kauri Islet. Red Bull has even taken the liberty of building giant fans to propel you when you make jumps. It's untested technology. Sounds like it could be fun. The new playlist a spin. This season is all about luxury cars. If you've played the Ferrari playlist, you know what I mean. But it doesn't end there. The festival has invited numerous guests and brands to take part over the years. And now, the most prestigious brands are opening their doors to us. Our luxury car authority, the Archivist, has been invited by the greatest European luxury car manufacturers to discuss our common passion for beautiful vehicles and to show us the places where these jewels are formed. A grand tour of Europe that you'll be getting a taste of in this new playlist experience. Onto the container. You'll discover everything this voyage was about.
As the Motorfest archivist, I had the privilege to be invited by prestigious European car manufacturers for a special visit. This was the beginning of my European tour, and the starting point for your new car culture experience. My journey would let me spend time among the finest machines the old continent has produced. French elegance,
This time, the Motorfest will deliver this playlist to you on a weekly basis. Each week, a new chapter of the Luxury Chronicles for you to enjoy the luxury cars throughout the whole season. What is next in line? Now, our archivist has documented the whole thing, so we can share with you here in Hawaii his luxury chronicles. Each car you'll be driving in this playlist is related to our archivist journey. Get to the event tag and discover what our luxury car authority has in store for you.
My trip back to Europe would lead me first to France, with a schedule full of promise. I couldn't wait to meet the people from Bugatti, embodiment of French car luxury, and spend time with some of the most brilliant machines in the country. But my very first meeting was with an equally interesting manufacturer and a rather peculiar... When you get these notes, driver, you'll be driving the roads of Maui in the very cars I'm writing about, to get a proper French luxury feel without leaving Hawaii or the festival. The Aquilone and Genti automobile was such an interesting starting point for my tour. A newcomer to the French luxury car market, and their very first machine. This was very exciting. To learn everything I needed to know about this car. A car born from the passion of a creator who dreamed of building his own luxury hypercar with 4-figure horsepower and an unparalleled power-to-weight ratio from scratch. By the time you, driver, get my notes, the result should be in your hands. and soul. The Accolade by Genti Automobile.